Beginning on the far field, do you remember when that was? It soon after touring for singles?
It was about a month after. We started writing about a month after the singles tour ended. So we didn't really, we took a break for like the holidays, and then right after New Year's, we started writing. We got a house down on this beach in North Carolina, like during the dead of winter, so it was pretty isolated. It was just us and the beach and the whales going by, the dolphins.
But is that important to be in a somewhat secluded place, just the three of you, and then to have that focus?
It was good for us to go off. We've done it. We did it for singles also when we first started writing for singles, and when we recorded on the water, we went off to like a secluded house. I think it's good just to get away from distractions and just to focus on the writing. We did like about half of the writing, or two-thirds of the writing was done back home in Baltimore. But just at least to get things rolling, we went to the isolated place. Yeah.
Do you remember what kind of kicked everything off?
The first song,
maybe a track or yeah.
The first song we wrote was Ancient Water. Okay. That was the first day, right?
The first day we wrote Ancient Water.
I think so. Yeah. So we wrote pretty much every day we would just write for maybe 3 or 4 hours, or more like jam. The first day we got there, we just set up everything in the living room, and got everything plugged in and went to sleep and woke up the next morning, had a little breakfast, and then just started making music around 11 or 12, and would play for 3 or 4 hours, and then kind of just relax. Okay. It's interesting because when you're on the road, we're so close together. We've been friends for so long, but it's a very, by the end of a long tour, you're together, but you're like constantly just trying to be in your own space because you're so together with one another that you need alone time. You just need some time to yourself. And though we're friends, you kind of shut off. So it was kind of us getting used to just being in a space together and creating again, making food together again, and these things, cooking dinner together, which are, I don't know, just more of a thing about the relationship rather than the work side of things.
So that I assume then helps the creative process tremendously.
I think so. Well, more so just in like remembering that community, like right. where it kind of came from. But when was because even I felt like Wave Like Home, we kind of went away. Well, I felt like I went away because I went to Greenville to make that record, and I was trying to think when we first started doing like writing sessions away.
Evening Air was like we had just moved to Baltimore.
That's true.
So in a lot of ways, we were isolated in our new town that we just moved to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when we first started, I guess.
And then On the Water was all, like half of that album was recorded, and about 3 or 4 songs were written at a house in North Carolina that our buddy was living at in the summer. It was like a house he was going to inherit. It was his grandfather's home, and he had to move down there and fix it up. It was just like, it wasn't abandoned, but it was vacant. So he had to fix up some things so it would last many more years. And he was like, if you want to come hang out sometime, I'll be at this house fixing it up. And we said, can we record a record there? So we recorded in the living room. So that was kind of another escape or getting away, like focusing, cooking breakfast, cooking dinner, setting up in the living room, playing, recording. And then with singles, that record began with us going to a hunting cabin that's in Williams family in the outskirts in North Carolina. And that was another where we kind of did the same thing with the beach house for the far field. We just went there, set up, and worked on songs all day.
So at this point, is there somewhat of an idea of what you wanted out of the record or what you were looking for?
No, I think the beauty of what we do and how we've done it, and then again, like William had said, singles was the first time we went off the road to write. So the same way that the hunting cabin that began the writing sessions for singles, and we wrote songs like Song for Our Grandfathers, Like the Moon, What else?
Back in the Tall Grass.
Back in the Tall Grass, like that came together there.
Yeah.
You know, these different things all kind of began from those sessions, but then we would go home, be back in Baltimore, and write there. But those kind of beginning things, like with the Far Field, it's more or less we didn't know what was going to happen, and the excitement is coming together again in that beach house and seeing if we can still write songs. You know, like. You know, I always have that concern when we get back together after a long period of time, because it had been like a year to almost 2 years since we'd really had an intensive writing session. And that you're like, I sure hope we know how to do this still.
We might have lost the part of our brains that write songs somewhere on the side of the road.
Yeah, this is a possibility.
Was there a moment then where it clicked when you were there, or maybe even later in Baltimore when you were back in Baltimore?
I think it was later. It was later for me. Okay. I think these guys were less stressed out at some point because they had been making a lot of great songs. You know, we were all together when we were writing this album, but some of the songs, you know, we're creating the skeletons of the instrumentals with me in the room, and sometimes I'm writing a verse or a chorus, but then we have that, and then I take it home. The guys send it to me, make a quick demo and send it to me, and then I have to write. And at one point in the process, probably in April or May, I was freaking out because we had maybe written 6 songs, and one week I was just freaking out because I had 5 or 6 songs that I was trying to write at one time. I just had too many good instrumentals, and they were all like half written, and I was like losing my mind and freaking out on these guys, like that I didn't know like what the hell I was doing or what we were doing, or I don't know what this record's gonna sound like. I don't know what's happening. We're kind of having that moment, and they're just like, just relax, like. There's no deadline. We don't, you know, there's plenty of time. You just need to relax. And then 5 or 6 days later, I had finished 3 of the songs, and then we had 9 songs, and the 3 new songs were great. And I was like, oh, like this is awesome. So within a week, it kind of flipped from me being really concerned to being really excited and kind of getting a better focus on what. The core of the record would be, because once you have that like 5 or 6 songs that really stick together, you understand like, kind of what you're creating. But in those early stages, it gets a little scary because you really just need to keep writing. And we ended up writing like 20 to 22 songs, and there's even more instrumentals that are yet to be touched with lyrics. So
sure, but the way it works then, because William, that they come to you with certain instrumentals. So does that drive what sort of lyrics will come out, or do you have certain themes stored up?
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing is like I don't write words outside of the music and then bring them to the music. Okay. I like to be completely moved. I want the lyrics to come from the music. You know, I want the lyrics to be translating the feeling, emotion of the music, so that, and I think that's why we create a real synthesis of all the sounds, because these guys are weaving in and out of each other as they're creating an instrumental, and we're creating a song, and I'm writing in the corner or singing and finding how I fit in, or how I can either become something that intertwines inside or pulls against, or you know, punches away from, like all these different things. But then the problem becomes that if I have 5 or 6 songs, then I forget what the initial emotion was of one particular song. So you really have to kind of focus, because in the best scenarios, I basically go home. We spend 2 or 3 hours writing a song, and then I take it home, and then I finish the lyrics at home, and then create a quick demo and send it back to the guys, and then the next day we can create. But when we were at the beach, we were just together so much, I didn't have time to like my time alone is really important for me to just like say exactly what I want to say. And the instrumentals just kept piling up, and I was like, this is so much good stuff.
But this is interesting. So Gerrit and William, do you know what all of the songs are about?
Yeah.
The one in the beginning or now?
Even when they finish, do you discuss them maybe afterwards then, or?
Not too much. I mean, I'll
be like, what do you say right here?
Which always scares me. I'm like, oh no.
Just because I'm curious what he's saying. sometimes. So because sometimes I can't make it out, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we have a pretty good understanding.
Is there one, and then the same for you? Is there one maybe a bit of lyric or a track that impressed you?
I'm Through the Roses is my jam.
How come?
Just speaking about what being a human being, what it is to be human.
I like the imagery in Aladdin a lot. I like the kind of image, the kind of picture that Sam kind of paints this picture with his words in that song. I think it's really beautiful.
And Sam, are you very protective of kind of what these words mean, or can everybody have their own interpretation?
I mean, I'm protective of what the words are, and that they're read correctly.
Okay.
But I think that I mean, we all agree that once the songs are released, I mean, once they're recorded, that's like you start to get the separation anxiety, and then once they're gone, I think it's really freeing. But personally, but we all agree that that's for people. You know, once it's out, it's for the people, and I think that I try to keep, even within telling personal stories, I try to keep the language universal enough that it can apply to whoever chooses to use that. You know. To their advantage or their understanding, to help them or either give them hope or not feel alone, you know. So that's a lot of the reasons I try to stay honest, is to give people that, but I also believe that if it means something to someone else and it gives them that same hope, then I don't want to tell them what it means to me. Or, you know, it's doing its job. And I think great art can do that. We can apply ourselves into it. We put ourselves in it, and can be there.
Very last question, because I think my time's up. But well, the album title, "The Far Field," when did that pop up?
It was like 3 days ago, right?
It was like halfway through the recording process. We had this ongoing list of possible titles, and there was a couple that we kept kind of circling around, and The Far Field is one that Sam kind of snuck in there. And we had like in the break room of the studio, there was a computer there, and we had the list on the computer. And John Congleton, the producer, came in one day. He was in the room for like less than a minute. He glanced at the screen.
Which is probably like 60 to 100.
There's a lot of names.
Just title.
He's like, "Oh, is this the album title list? Oh, cool. I like The Far Field." And then he walked out, and that's when Sam told me that it was The Connection. It's the title of a book and a poem by Theodore Retka, who wrote the poem In Evening Air, which our second album was named after, and The Far Field is the book that In Evening Air is in. So I thought that was really cool, that kind of connection, bringing the kind of full circle, bringing it back to our earlier work, and some of the vibe that we were going for with this record kind of, you know, harkens back to those kind of sounds and that kind of energy. So the title started to grow on all of us, I think.
Very, very quickly, because I'm running over my time. But did John eventually tell why that stood out to him?
No, we should ask him. Yeah.
Because it's a dope title.
I think he just said, like, that makes sense with these songs. I think it'll be a good title. He said something like that.
And I think in the end, because I slipped it in there, but I wasn't fighting for it. There were a couple other ones that I was fighting for that I can't even really remember now. And that was when I slipped in there, and it just kind of came up. And then when William was like, "I really like that," then I was like, do I like that? Because me and William were going at it the whole time. He didn't like my names, I didn't like his. So then I was like,
it's okay.
"Oh, William likes that. And then it took me a
That
while.
was one of my ideas. How do I feel about that?
That's a kind of a William thing to do too. Yeah. But by the end of it, once it became the title, it all made sense.
Sure.
You know, and then it was like, oh yeah, duh. Like the ideas of travel, longing, distance, that the thing that's far away that you know, the thing that's pulling you from far away. You're not sure what it is. What's out there in the far field.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.